D, B, A will be normally your roles, right? So B, it can also be partition, SDB1, right? So you can have more than one block devices which can be clubbed together, right? So it's not mandatory, but you can have more than one. Like DV, S, D, C. Okay, so let me explain this first. So what we do is that we take two block devices. These are maybe 100 gig. These are 100 gig. Not required that these are the same size. Another size can also be there. We combine this and we create a volume group. Sorry, we create a basically we create a volume group out of this. Okay, so before we create a volume group out of this, the normal disk cannot be recognized by this volume group. So we need to basically create a physical volume out of this disk. Okay, so how it happens is that it is a block device. You create a physical volume for this same disk. Okay, same disk you create a physical volume, but which we call it as PV. So there is another physical volume out of this. Okay, we have a command called PV create to do this from block device to physical volume. Correct? Clear here? Okay. This block device can be either a block device or raw device like your SDB, SDC, SDD. Any number of disks can be added. Clear? But Red Hat recommends that you actually partition this disk as a full disk. That means SDB, you partition it and create a new partition with primary and use the entire disk. We are not going to create extended housing. First sector enter, last sector enter. Got it? So if it is a 100 GB disk, you get a single partition of /dev/sdb1 of 100 GB. Clear? So your PV is of 100 gig, this PV is of 100 gig. Now I combine these two PV. I say that create a volume group out of this. So we call it as VG. You can give a name to this VG. You don't have to give a name to the PV. So we use the VG create command to create VG out of these PVs. If one PV, you can create multiple volume groups. Okay, VG is called volume group, right? So if I am using both of these PVs together to create a VG, this VG size will be of 200 gig. Clear? I can add one more disk. Maybe later I can add one more disk here. /DV/SDD. Here, later point of time, I can even add this. I have to convert it to PV, and I can add this PV to this VG, where this VG can be extended to 300 gig. That means you can extend it, correct? And now on top of this VG, I can create LV. Either I can create a single LV or I can create multiple LVs. For example, LV, LV0, LV1. We use LV create command to create the logical volume. On top of this logical volume, we create file system, right? Whichever file system here, we just saw, right? Either ext2, ext3, ext4, or XFS. On top of this, you basically write your data, correct? So this VG LV I have created is of maybe 200 gig, and this is of maybe 50 gig, and maybe this is 100 gig, and this is of 50 gig. right? So your total space is 300 gig. I've used up 150 gig, right? Later, if I want, I can create another LV. If I want, I can extend this LV from 50 GB to whatever size you have mentioned. So here it is 1 GB. So this is the beauty of logical volume, that you can basically extend your LV. To what limit? To the limit of your VG. Now your VG is 300 GB. I have used up 150, sorry 250, and maybe I have extended this also to one more thing, 150, 300 GB is used. Now my requirement came is that I want to extend this volume group LV1 to maybe 300 gig. I don't have the space. Correct? So 300 gig means, and extend this to 300 gig. So 300 gig means how much it is? I need 150 more gig. Correct? Right? So I can add an additional PV first. Here, starting from maybe instead of 150, I add 200 gig disk. Then I create a PV out of it. Then I extend this VG to incorporate this. This becomes 500 GB. Now you can safely extend it to 300. Correct? On top of this, there will be a file system, which of course need to be extended or resized by default. Because the file system by default will be of 150 gig. Now it has raised to 300 gig. You have to extend the file system. This is the concept of logical volume. Instead of creating, for example, one VG, I can create two VGs. Right? But the thing is that if a PV is part of one VG, the same PV cannot be part of another VG. Right? For example, I have two VG. Initially, I have created one VG, and this one VG, what I did is that these two PVs are used to create this VG. Right? And these two PVs are used to create this VG. Clear? The logical volume, whichever is there, that logical volume will be associated to a particular VG, not to this two. If this logical volume is there, this may be associated with this. This means this logical volume is in VG0, and this logical volume may be in VG1. Correct? So of course, the file system, whichever is there, the data which is written on this logical volume will go to these two physical disks. You can't mention that the data go to this or this. How many disks are there, which is a part of this volume group on which this logical volume is there? Your data goes to those physical disks. Clear? Any questions on this?
So physical disk means that you are referring to some
Block device, SDVA. Either it can be local or it can be SAN.
Any external also?
SAN disk. SAN disk. There's only SAN disk, right? SAN or iSCSI. There are only two types of storages, like this. Correct. One is local storage, and one is external. That is remote. Correct. So now the storage, again, it can be of two types. One is basically file system, and second is block device. File system means you don't have to partition format. Those are file system. It's just like a Windows share, network share. You access it, copy it, write it, whatever you do. No other things. Block device means more granular control. You decide what file system you need. Correct? You decide whether I want to slice it with partitions. Correct? So this is block device. So SAN provides you with block device. Sometimes I guess some SANs also provide you with the NFS storage. Right? There are filers. There are filers actually which is available, which basically can give you NFS share directly. You can directly access that. See, your objective is basically directly store the file. You can just say, okay, let's give me a SAN, sorry, NAS, right? But you want to use your block device for some other purpose, for creating file system, correct? For specific file system, you of course need block device, right? So now this is what we are going to learn now. So by default, your OS, when it's installed on a LVM, logical volume. Okay, that means your OS disk partition itself is a logical volume manager managed. In the older days, like RHEL 5, sorry, RHEL 4 or 3, those were device disk, not LVM. So in order to do that, you can use list out two, three commands. There's PV display to volume disk is not there, or it is not created as volume. Okay, I think because of automated installation, this hasn't created as it is maybe disk directly. Yeah, it is by since an automated installation, this one created LV. No problem. We are going to create LVs. Okay, so for this, we need to have at least 2 disks now. Okay, so as a quick measure, what we can do is that just shut down the VM and create 2 disks. Okay, attached to disk of 2 GB each, only 2 GB. So just shut down the disk, init 0. Okay, the VM is shut down. And coming back to this thing. Okay, I'm going to edit this and say that settings. So add hard disk, next, ID, next, create new disk, use a single virtual partition, create a new virtual disk, create a new virtual disk. Then it's 2 GB. Okay. Anyway, this will speed up the thing.
Storage, single point.
Yeah. So allocate disk, if you're not using, it will pick up quickly because it is not going to allocate disk. As and when you write data, it will allocate. So it will speed up. Let's put up this thing. Finish. Done. Okay. So I have added one more thing. Next. Again 2 GB. Allocate disk space now. No, sorry, not allocate space. Store disk no single disk. Next. Finish. So 2 disks are over. Clear? And you start your VM. So for test purpose also you can use with single disk also, but you can create multiple partitions. Instead of 2 block device, you can put /DB, SDB1, SDB2. Clear? But since you have a VM here, you have an option to create more disks, right? So of course you can do this. So our objective is to have 2 disks or 2 partition. Okay. I'm using putty. Okay. I'm using putty to log into the system. I'm here. So I have disk -l grep /dev/sd device. You can see this there. Okay, my devices, or I can use what to say lsblk disk with 2 disk, right? With 2 GB SDE and SDF. Clear? Okay. So first thing command here, I'm going to partition this as a requirement, as a recommendation. So some people say that you basically create basically from the storage perspective, LUN. A LUN of 100 GB has been assigned to your system. You create it with a single raw disk. Okay, and you create a PV and all those things. Later, if you want to extend the VG with additional space, the storage people say that we can extend the LUN. So instead of 100 GB, they add more disk to it and they extend it to 200 GB and they present to your system. You need to rescan it or you need to reboot the system so that the system can recognize the rescan. But this is not a recommended method from Red Hat. Red Hat says that if you want to add new disk, so add a new LUN instead of extending the LUN. The LUN, the storage guys can extend the LUN which is present to you from 100 GB to 200 GB. So you will see as a single disk, but that is not recommended. Recommendation is you add another LUN of 100 GB or 200 GB, whatever it is. Then you add that as a physical volume and then you add it to the volume group. So the recommended method is always fdisk /dv sde. Okay, sde this time. P, no partition, new partition, primary partition. Select the partition number by default. First sector enter, second sector enter. You are not going to give any size. It will take automatically the whole space. Right? Print whole space it has taken. Correct? The end sector is this. Starting sector is this. Okay? You can see the end sector, total sectors. Here. So there is a last sector. Right? Right. So similarly, I will do it for F. Okay. P, new, primary partition, default, first sector, last sector. P, right? W. And after doing both this, I will do part probe so that the partition disk are read. Then I will do ls blk to see that what the partitions are there. See, two partitions are created of 2 GB. Clear this point? We have done the same thing repetition what we have done in the previous class. Sorry, before the break. Now is the thing which we are going to create. First thing, the partition. Now we have got SDE1 as SDF1. So PV create. Hope man PV create. Read this. At least the description. Okay. Page down. These are options. All these options you don't need. Okay. And look on the examples. Basically this one. Here, this is important. So during examination, you forgot how to create a PV. Go ahead and use this command. Replace this with. Don't replace exactly with these things. Okay. So now, or PV create minus help. This is also important. Right? At least when you are using the first command first or twice, you please ensure that you run these commands which PV creates. Should know where these commands are basically. Right? The thing is about you should know how to use rather than by hearting it. So now PV create /dv /sde1. Okay. Either you can create individually or you can create both the things together. /SDF1. Okay. Physical volumes DEV-E1 and DEV-F1 successfully created. Clear? Now you use PV display command to list the physical volumes. Now please pay attention here. Okay, either use PV display or if you want to individually see a device, you can give the parameters. Only that device will be displayed. Otherwise, what all physical volumes are there in your system, everything will be displayed. Clear? Any missing point here? See, we are not doing anything. We have just created the last, just the bottom line, PV create. We have created a physical volume. Clear? And now we are going to display. Display means you are viewing it. Fdisk minus L. Similar to this, we are viewing this. So if you just type PV display, whatever physical volumes are there in your system, everything will be displayed. Right now, I have only two physical volumes which I have created. So just look at this thing. The device name is a new physical volume. Okay. Why showing now new physical volume? Because there is no, it is not associated with any volume group. Now, new physical volume name, this is the name. There is no VG, VG here. because this volume, physical volume, is not associated with any volume group. Physical volume size, it's less than 2 GB, right? Close to 2 GB, that is. Allocatable, no, that is not allocated, right? P size, this I will explain you. Okay, and this is a UUID, physical volume UUID, not the UUID which I mentioned about mounting. Okay, clear? Now what I'm going to do is that I am going to create a VG. So volume group create command is VG create. Don't worry, I will share some of the slides, what to say, this diagram, some of those things which I just downloaded from Google. So I'll upload it maybe tomorrow or today, and you can use that, right? VG create. Then what you do is that you give the volume group name, sorry, physical volume group name. VG create VG01. Any name you can give, my volume group or my name or anything, whatever you want. But give some sensible names so that you understand this is for some purpose, right? For example, you are going to create a volume group for for backup, correct? So there could be 1 or 2 logical volumes in the volume group. So you create a volume group named VG underscore backup or backup underscore VG, whatever it is, right? So here I'm just giving a name. So the format is VG create with volume group name and the physical volumes which are going to be part of it. 3 disks, 4 disks, add the disks. And yeah, volume group successfully created. Okay, man VG create. Okay, come down. See this. Creates a volume group with 2 physical volumes using the default external size. So external and all those things, don't forget about this time because those are only in advanced classes. Okay. So VG create my VG. This is the VG name, and then your disk names. Clear? Okay. And one more thing, don't go very deeply into the what to say man pages right now. Practice the base thing. Understand the concept. Don't go and what to say practice all the switches. It will create more confusion in your mind, right? Practice this. Take 1 or 2 months of time. Be very clear thorough with this concept. Read a lot of blogs, documentations, man pages of VG create. Don't go for switches and all those. Understand the concept, right? You can go for some video, online videos, or maybe the logical volume concepts and all those things. Basically, how it was written. So then these are all commands. Clear? So what I'm teaching is basic logical volume manager, which is there in your RSCSA and this particular module syllabus. So now your volume group is created. You know how to look for the volume group create command also. Okay, man page. If you have forgotten like what is, I should give the volume group name first or later instead of panicking or thinking about this. Do a man on volume group. Come to example. Search for just to do this thing man and just search for the examples if it is there. So this is what you need to learn, how to search, right? If you just search for what to say anything on Google which is not very specific, correct? Google will give you n number of things which may be of not interest to you, right? But if you are very specific about a particular parameter, you need to give specific search parameters. So then the research will be refined and given to you. So you need to learn, just not to learn how to open a man page, but what to search. So you need to remember some keywords. Good. So now we do a VG display. If you have multiple VGs, all the VGs will be displayed. But since we have only one VG, that is the reason. Otherwise, what you give is that VG display and the volume group name. Correct? So now what you see, the volume group name is there. Format is LVM2. LVM2 is nothing. LVM1 is the older version. This is the new version, LVM2. Okay, these all things are not interested right now. This is something which is of interest to you. Close to 4 GB. 2 GB, 2 GB. 2 physical volumes, right? 4 GB. So combined is 4 GB. That's 3.99 GB. Physical external size is 4 MB. I'll tell you about extents. Total PE is equal to this much. Okay. Okay. Just forget about this. Is just a UID. Now we will come back and see PV display. See? Now it has populated. Correct? Correct? Earlier, It is not. Earlier it was not populated, correct? Allocatable now, earlier it was no, and now it is yes. The PE size has been populated to 4 MB. Why? This the PE size here is 4 MB. Okay, total PE is 512. Okay, here 512 plus 512, that comes to be around 1022. Okay, total PE size, free extents, allocatable extents. So now I'll tell you about what is physical extents. So this volume, physical volume, just take this physical volume as okay. This physical volume is divided into small sectors like areas. Okay. This each area is known as PE, physical extent. Into this area is where data is written. Okay. Alright. So now you have a physical extent here. So I just put it here. Okay. 2 PVs maybe like this. Clear? You got PV, physical extent here. All are those physical extents. So maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 physical extents. Example, okay. Here also maybe 5 physical extents. Your total, this volume group is combined of these 2 PVs.
Okay.
So total physical extent is 10 physical extents. Now when you create a logical volume on top of it, okay, this logical volume, when it is formatted, it will also have logical extents. Okay. So physical volume, even though it shows as extents, but volume group don't have extents here. Because we are not going to write out on volume group. We are going to write on logical volume, which writes on the disk, which is PV. So this logical volume is a direct map to PV. It's not like that the first LV is this one and second LV is mapped to this. So logical extent size, if it is 4K or 4M, whatever it is, 4K normally. So here it will also be 4K. Right? Consider this as the smallest area where you can write to a disk. In the case of formatting, hard disk, sectors. Correct? Sectors, which is the smallest area where you write to the where the operating system can write files. So similarly, it is logical extent, not logical extent. This logical extent would map here, or this logical extent could map here, or could map here. Correct? It's just an example to make you understand what is logical extent. So, or physical extent. So, time being, just keep understand. Don't think very deeply about it. Just understand that physical extents are the smallest area where your OS can write. Also, it's the smallest addressable area by the operating system which can write to it. Right? So
only for writing purpose it is, or only for reading purpose it is, right?
Writing or reading, whatever it is. If you write, you can read it, right?
No, that's
yeah,
right.
right,
It is
right, of
very
course.
specified only, right?
So just okay. I will say that read and write. Okay. So now we will do some what to say. One minute. Trying to say is that okay. So now you see the total physical extents and the size of the physical extent here. What is the size of the physical extent? 4 MB. Correct? Clear? Now what is the total physical extent? 1022. Right? So 4 into 1022, how much?
4,000.
404, I think it is 4088,
Yeah.
right? So 4096 is basically 4 GB. So this is 3.91 GB. That is close to 4 GB. That means when you multiply total physical extents with the extent size, that is one physical extent size, you will get the total size 400. That is 4096. That is 4 GB. So here, look at here. Here it is 4 MB is the physical size. Your total physical extent is 512. Free is 512. Sorry, 511. Correct? It should basically be 512. But since some space is used up, that's why you're not getting it. So 511 plus 4 MB, that will give you some close to 2 GB. So 2 GB here and 2 GB here. So these two combined will get you 4 GB here. So when you do a calculation here with these two things, you will get 4 GB. Clear? You should understand this concept. Many of the people don't know what is physical extent. Clear? If you want to have a further reading, go and do a Google on physical extent. What is physical extent? The things are very big. You might not be able to understand it completely. So what I'm telling you is that currently don't focus on physical extents and all those things. Focus on commands, how to create. You should understand what you're doing, not just issue command. Right? When you're doing a PV, you should understand what exactly you're doing. Correct? You are converting a partition or a physical disk to a physical volume so that the logical volume can understand this disk. Correct? So when you do a PV create, there are some metadata or some information which is written to a specific area on this disk. Right? And when the disk scans it, correct, then it reads, if it reads the metadata, then it will see, identify that as physical disk. That is what, when we use PV display, it actually scans through all the disk and identify where the metadata is written specific to physical volume, and it identifies those disks and displays it. That is what when you happen when you have physical volume scan, that is PV scan. PV scan, that is you are scanning the system to identify which all disks are there. Correct? So it says that physical volume SDE1, which is part of VG01. If you are doing PV scan before VG create command, this will not be here. Correct? This will not be here. Further give the space and all those things. So if you are adding more and more disks to it, more space to it, it will show you how many disks are free. Just like your how many spaces are free in the disk. Clear? So PV create, PV display, PV scan. If you want to do a short display, you can use PVS. Normally used in scripts and all those things, which will give you information of physical volume, what volume group is part of, and what format it is. It gives you some attributes. We'll look about attributes. No, we will not be looking about attributes because this is advanced class. Then about size and free. As we use up more, when logical volume is created, more and more data is written to it, this P space might come down. Okay. So PV create, PV display, PV scan, and PVS. Similarly, there is for VG create. VG create we have looked on. VG display we have looked on. Either VG display or you give VG display the volume group name. Correct? Clear? Now it is from a LV create. Home man LV create. Page down. There are a lot of examples in LV. So most of these commands are not needed now. You just need to create a logical volume. There are many things like create a mirror logical volume, stripe logical volumes, and all those things not normally required in normal cases because there are many other mechanisms like read partitions, hardware read, and all those things. So you normally don't require this at the same time. So Okay. So now do a LV create command. So we know that in the volume group we have got close to 4 GB space. Now we're going to create a logical volume on top of this volume group. Okay. So I'm going to give the logical volume by a particular name. Okay. So maybe I'll put normal logical volume 01. Okay. Any name you can put, but that should be something which is corresponding to your understandable, what you're basically using it for. Right? Logical volume 01. And then you're going to specify the size, minus L in size. You can also mention in sectors. There are switches for that, but sector is more difficult to understand. Size is more easy. Minus L and space and give the size. Size means how much it is. Like 4 GB is there. I'm going to create a 1 GB space.
Not for plus number.
No, plus number. That we'll look on later. Plus symbol is there, but that is for later, extending purpose. Okay. Now what you created? You create saying that you create a LV with the name
Volume 1.
identified by minus N flag, and then of this size 1 GB identified by minus N flag. Then you have to say where, in which volume group it has to create, right? So you give the volume group name. Correct? While creating logical volume, what is the name of the logical volume that you create? Correct? Then what do you do? You have to give the size. What is the size? Right? And in which VG? Because there could be multiple VG in your system. Correct? Enter. Is the logical volume created. So man LV create, if we look on. So we have got a couple of things here. These are all basically commands to create a logical volume with RAID and all those. Normally we don't need this. I'm just looking for basically you can use this only. LV create is there. Okay, just remove the type and RAID and all those things. You give this minus L size and minus N name. Minus N or minus L you can proceed here and there. Either you can use minus N first or minus L first and the volume group name. Correct? Okay. We are not using these types. Okay. So what I have to find it out if you forget it. Man example and on the second line it's there. LV create, just remove this entries minus L and this one. Okay. Good. So we do LV display on this or LV display. When you create a logical volume, the logical volume will be created, a device file will be created under slash. For first it is VG01. Correct? Inside VG, because this logical volume is under VG01. So inside that you will find another logical volume name LVOL01. Either you can use LV display directly, it will display all the logical volumes in the system, or you can explicitly give the volume name for which you want to display the information about. So see this is important. Logical volume name, sorry, path, there is your name, there is a volume group name where this logical volume is part of. By just looking at the name, you can say that which logical volume or which volume group this is part of. Correct? Easy? Or you can just directly look on LV display and you will find this. Here is the LV UUID. read write access is there, creation time where it has been created and what time it has been created. I have created on server.cloudgreen.edu. Okay, available. Then LV size 1 GB we have created, right? Current LE logical extent, how much it is? 256. So 256 into 4, how much? 1 GB. Okay, close to. Okay, this everything is good. So now your logical volume is created. LVS, VGS, PVS. Alright, short informations. Short information. Logical volume, volume group, attributes, size. Attributes is nothing, which it is writable, automotable, all those things. Not automotable. Okay, volume group name, how many physical volumes are there, how many logical volumes are there, correct? VGS, size, free. Why free? Because 1 GB is used for LV. Got it? Clear now? So you see
But
this.
here you didn't get any physical volume details.
No, physical volumes you can't say because you are not you cannot say that key your logical volume is basically mapped to this physical volume. That OS takes care of.
We get only that.
Yes, you will see only get information about logical volume and volume group which is bottom. Okay, but you can look at this PV right now and you can see that the free extent on PV SDF1 is less than 2 gig. Sorry, on this SDE1 is less than close to 1020. That means 1 GB which is being created as logical volume is being used up on this physical volume. Since there is only one disk or two disks, they are easy to identify. But where there are more, you will not be able to find it. Clear? Now what we do is that mkfs dot xfs and you format this device. Okay. Either you format in this way or there is something called Davy mapper. Davy mapper and give volume group name. It will automatically take up the other names. So mapper is nothing. It's just a device mapper. Device mapper means it's basically used for in logical volumes where the device is mapped to the particular names. Okay. So this here name is given as /dv mapper. /dv mapper and volume group name hyphen the volume logical volume. The format is this. Either you use this format /dvvg /dv/vg01 /volume group path. This is a LV path, or you use this, but this path is basically preferred because you can either use using UUID or you can use this mapper to mount in FSTAP because this will be specifically to that device. Even if it is on a different disk, the disk also changes. That means the disk name conversion changes while during booting, but the mapping device will not change. Okay, the best example is to use UUID. Correct? But most of the time in the real-time environments, you will find /dv mapper in the FSTAP. Right? Some people also use this, but majority of the people use this. Correct? I have seen many systems where it is there. That's why I'm going to explain it. So either you can use format using this, but you can't format using UUID basically. Either use this device or use this device. Clear? Just enter. It is formatted. Right? So I'm going to create mkdir /mount. I'm going to see LV logical volume 01. Okay. Or I will put like this VG01 hyphen this because there could be many VGs if you want. Just for time being, I'm going to mount it. Created a directory and BLK ID mapper. See this Your device name is not there. /EV, SDS, something is not there. Mapper is there. So you take this UUID vim/etc fstab, open. Where is this? Enter. My mounts PG01. If you are in confusion, just go there and take this directory so that you don't end up in problems. Right? XFS, we have formatted XFS defaults 0 0. Okay. Right and quit. Mount. Grep.
My mouse.
My mounts. What do you have? Only one XFS. So now I will do mount minus A. I will do again my mounts. So the AV mapper volume group mounted on this. Clear? Attributes and all those things remains the same, whether it is LVM or LVM or non-LVM. So that has nothing to do with whether the underlying device is block or something. Correct? So here it is logical volume manager. Right?
Every disk and every associated volume being configured should be in the
FSTab.
FSR.
See, it's not like that. See, volume group. Why you need volume group? You need to create a file system, right? Correct? Simply we will not create. If we create a volume group, it's not of no use. I need to create a file system on top of it. Correct? That is the end result. So file system, if you want to create, definitely you need to write something. In order to write something, you need to mount it. Correct? You can mount in two ways, either manually. Correct? Manually means you mount it this time.
But the disk to which actually we are writing are already mounted and then we configure. We put them in the FSR already. So why do you think the logical volume also needs to go into FSR?
No, see these disks are different disks.
Okay, I got it. Okay.
Those are different disks.
Yes.
If you format that, the contents on that disk will go off. Correct?
Okay.
So FSTab is just only to ensure that you need to ensure that this data is mounted or it is persistent across reboot. Right? Even after reboot also, your data should be there. Right? If you're preparing for examination, there are a couple of questions related to FSTab. That means you need to make sure that the data is mounted. Right? Or your partition which you have created is mounted across reboots. It should not happen that you have done everything and after a reboot, nothing is there. Correct? So that is where FSTab comes in the picture. Interview questions, why FSTab is used. Correct? What is the best method to mount a device? Correct? How you can mount? Or if you want to make it permanent or persistent across reboot for a mount point, what do you do? What is the best method? So straight away, use UUID. Use UUID to mount a device in FSTab. Correct? What does default means? Defaults are the default mount options. Correct? Can you give some mount options which is what to say apply default? Yes, it's read write. See this? Right? This you can later on because they will not be asking mount options and all those things for a basic administrator. Right? These are basically needed when you go for a higher level administration. When you basically go ahead and do more of troubleshooting aspects of as a basic system and order, people who have completed those course, expectation from them is that you know how to mount a file system. You need to identify what type of file system is. You know how to do that, correct? How do you make a file system persistent across reboot? Correct? That means when a system reboots also, your file system should be mounted after it mount. You don't have to manually go and mount it. How do you unmount it manually? What are cross mounts? Cross mounts is nothing, hanky, and this example. Already mounted, you mount it another. Correct? Does mount point or mounting a device occupy any space? It doesn't occupy any space. Right? It doesn't occupy. If you have a disk of 10 GB, correct? And your slash is of basically 10 GB, your slash drive is 10 GB, and you're going to mount this new disk, which is of maybe 20 GB, okay, or GB, sorry, 5 GB, 5 GB, and you're going to mount it under slash under my volume. So my volume comes under slash. So the question would be that basically, if I mount 5 GB, right, will the 5 GB in the slash be used up or not? Will be used? No. It is not going to write to slash. Correct? Or the data, did the data reside on slash mount point? No. All resides in slash, but this basically resides in another device. Correct? Which is another mount point. Clear? So any questions on this? No? Okay, now we are going to extend the disk. Sorry, extend the logical volume. Okay. So before extending the logical volume, where does logical volume exist? Where does logical volume exist?
In physical.
BG in volume group. So first we need to check that whether there is space in volume group or not. So what you do is that BG display. Okay. So you check free physical extent or size. How much is there? 3 GB. So you have 3 GB in volume group. So you can extend your logical volume to use another 3 GB. Correct? So LV extend. Add space to a logical volume. Correct? Example. Okay.
Yeah.
So now in VG extent, I'm just muting it. So we will see both. LV create, sorry, not LV create, LV extend command. Okay, home man. Example. I'm showing you this because later point of time you don't have to search. Where do you search? Hey, what I just forgot. What is the command? What is the switch? Correct? It is there in the system itself. You don't have to apply Google or anything. Correct? So extend this command using this. So what you need to do is that logical volume extend minus L. So he said that extend the size of the logical volume by 54 MB. So already some size is there. You have to add 54 MB to the existing size. Correct? They're not asking that your logical volume size should be 54 MB. Correct? So after this, what you need to give is the
Path of the
path of the
VG.
VG. This is not mandatory. This is not mandatory. The OS will take care of itself. You have to just give these three commands. Extend. Okay. So I will also type LV development. We will type LV display. 1 GB is there. And one more thing, df minus HP T to show to the graph size. Okay, grep of L vol 01. See, the size is this much, 1 GB, which we have mounted, right? Got it? This is the thing which we have already mounted, logical volume which is already mounted. I am going to extend this logical volume by 200 MB now. That means I am going to add 200 MB to this disk. Question is add or extend logical volume by 200 MB. So what you do is that LV extend minus L, caps letter L, you need to add plus. Correct? That was the command, right? Plus by. Okay. So LV extend minus L plus 200 M. Okay. And then you give the path of the device. Either you give this device name or you give mapper. Anything. Okay. Extend it. Size of the logical volume changed from 1 GB to extend to 1.2 GB. Correct? Earlier the extend was 256 extends. Now the extend is 303 extends. So how much extends it has increased? Close to 50, 52. Correct? 52 into 4. That comes to where 200 MB. Clear? Logical volume successfully resized. So let's look on the size. Okay, let's look on the LV display. Earlier it was 1 GB. Now it is 1.2 GB. Earlier it was 256 extends. Now it is 306. That means it has increased. Correct? But we also have a file system on top of it. Correct? We have a file system on top of it, right? This is only logical volume. We have increased only the logical volume. On top of the logical volume, what do you have? You have a file system.
Mounted.
Yeah, mounted. What file system we have? We have an extended file system, XFS. Did it increase?
Need to format.
Not format. Format will reduce.
It's not increased.
We need to resize it. We need to resize the file system. Correct? Got it? So for that, what you do is that there is a command known as XFS _ grow. XFS grow. Okay. And what volume? Either this or you give /db mapper vg this thing. Anything to them. Got? Data block changed from 262144 to 31334. Now you see the change in size, right? This is very important. One thing you have to keep in mind that just extending the logical volume will not work. You need to extend the file system on top of it. So one beauty what it is that I have not unmounted it. So you can run this on a live system where a file system is mounted or logical volume is mounted. Correct? You can safely extend the logical volume and increase the size. Don't forget to resize the file system. It could be possible that you extend the logical volume, apply screenshot, you have done the finish the job. But the customer comes back and says that, but still the file system is showing the older size. Correct? You have to ensure that this is done. Now, clear? Any questions on this? Let me know that if you have understood or not.
Similarly, we do if we downsize the size. So
Reducing normally on XFS file system is not recommended.
not recommended.
I will say you can reduce, but reduction is not normally recommended. Why? I will tell you. Technically possible. You have a 100 GB disk. Why do you want to extend?
Just to,
Why do you want to? Just for fun, you don't extend, right? Why do you want to extend?
storage.
You need storage. Why? Because your disk is almost exhausted. You don't have space to use it. Correct? So now you need to add additional disk to extend it. Good. Correct? No problem. Because the data which was there, the OS will try to add more data to the newly added disk. Now for the reduction purpose, you have 100 GB, right? Only 50 GB is used. You'll say that, okay, because of shortage of disk, let me just reduce the space and add this space to something else, another logical volume which I'm interested in. Because this space, initially creation, it was created, but it is only 25% or something used. Okay. Imagine that, because as I told you, the logical extent is not a direct map. Correct? It could map to any other disk. Correct? So the fragmentation of the data is not known. It is not contiguous. Right? Contiguous, you understand, right? One after another. Right? If it is contiguous data, we understand that key, you fill this up, only then you use it up. But it is not like that. Data it thrives in anywhere where it is okay. There could be free space here, in between that. So when you reduce it, okay, you need to basically defrag it. And that is not normally recommended. Technically possible, we have commands also, LB reduce command is there to do that. But it is risky process. We don't never recommend using LB reduce. Okay. And in practical scenarios also, you always get a space to extend. So that is the reason, just like your permission, right? You have to anticipate that since there is a logical volume, you have a 10 GB disk. There is no point in adding 100 GB and keeping it, right? You understand that key, what it is used for. For example, your logical volume is used to save a log file. Log file. So log file keep on adding up, right? You are running a web server, your log file keeps on adding up. For example, your company policy is that, okay, I want 1 year of log to be retained. Right? This is then instead of putting it in the server itself, which would for 1 year it might hold up maybe 50 GB of space. Why don't you rotate it and keep it as a backup somewhere else? Right? You want to use the space, right? So that is what you want to effectively think of in solution rather than blindly extending the space. Right? If there are some solution available, good. Otherwise, there's no choice. You can go ahead and extend the space. Yeah. So now what we will learn is about now what we have, the space is about 1.2 gig, right? Now it is that you extend the logical volume to, that means they are giving a size. So you have been asked to extend the volume to 2 GB. Here, note down there is no plus. So now it may mean that your logical volume new size will be 2 GB. Earlier it was you are adding 200 MB on top of 1 GB. Now it is not like that. Now you are giving a total size that the final size should be 2 GB. Clear? So LB extended this to this. Clear?
If we didn't mention the plus, that means suppose if we mention plus means we are
Adding. You're adding. You're adding.
Means 18.
If you are not mentioning plus,
It means it
Final
will take
size.
Final size.
Final size.
this is the maximum.
Yes. Final size.
That will only take automatically. Or?
No, you are specifying that na 2 GB.
Okay.
You are saying that earlier I am mentioning earlier it was 1 GB. I am saying that plus 200. That means you are adding 200 to the disk. So what is the final disk space? 1.2. Did I mention 1.2 there? No, I have only mentioned plus 200. That means add whatever size is there existing. Please add 200 MB to it.
But we should be aware of how much size it
Of
has.
course, that you need to do because you need to see that volume growth, right? Now it is that I am saying that in this example, I am saying that extend to 2 GB. That means your final disk size should be 2 GB. I am not adding 2 GB more to the existing one. Correct? So you can see that LB display. Now it is 2 GB. But the size itself is again 1.2 GB in the file system. So again, you can use XFS Grow to this. Now the disk space, you see, 200 GB. Clear? This is how you extend the logical volume. Clear? Try practicing this command. There is another LV extend. Okay, there is another command called -R, resize fs. Okay, that means you can straight away combine these two commands together. Instead of running XFS Grow file system, you can straight away use this command. Maybe now it is like I'm adding, maybe in this, I'm adding another 200 MB to this LV extend. So along with this, you can use -R, single command. You don't have to grow XFS Grow. So now that what is the size? 2.9 GB. Enter. Clear? It has changed from 2 GB to 2.2 GB. It has also run XFS Grow. Correct? So when I use this command, it is 2.2 GB. With single command, you have resized the logical volume as well as you have resized the file system.
Mounted one.
Mounted. But it's better you use the first thing so that you learn the steps. That's why I have shown you the first steps. You learn that you first you extend the logical volume, then you extend the file system. Right? Clear? Now, if you are in a ext4 file system, XFS Grow will not work. XFS Grow will not. XFS Grow is for what? Growing XFS file system. So either you can use directly -R, even if it is the ext4 file system, or if you are using ext file system, just issue this command. Either you can use this command itself directly for both purposes, extending logical volume and extending the file system, or you use this command first, and instead of XFS Grow, you have to use resize to fs. There's a command called resize to fs. RESI is a D numeric to fs. That is resize to fs. Okay. Resize to fs and give the volume group name. But don't use resize to fs with an XFS volume. Okay. It will corrupt because you're using a different utility to different thing. Correct? Now, since we don't have a disk here, I will also give you another example, VG extent. So what happens that if you don't have space in the VG, correct? VG, Now you did add the space in VG. That's why we were able to extend the logical volume. But what happens if we didn't add space in the VG? Will you be able to extend? No. You say that insufficient space. So you need to extend VG, just like which I have shown you, right? So in order to extend a VG, what you need to have?
Physical.
You need to have a look one line bottom.
Physical.
You need to have a physical volume. So in order to have a physical volume, what you need to have? You need a physical disk. Correct? Either you add a physical disk here, local disk or SAN, whatever it is. Since I have to reboot the system, I'm not showing it here. Correct? You need to add a physical disk here. Then what you need to run? You need to run a PV create command. Simple stuff. Follow the initial step. PV create, just that device. Don't give all the devices which is existing in your system. Only the new disk which is you have added for a partition which is PV create, and then you do VG create home man example. See this straight away VG create, not VG create,
VG extend.
VG extend. VG extent, volume group name, and how many disks, the new disk that you have to add. If you have to add only one disk, only give one disk name. Don't give the existing disk names. Only
So
give
if
the
already it's added, like physical volume.
it is already added. Right. You don't have to add only which is needed. I told you now, do only thing which is needed.
If we suppose by mistake it will be overlapping or give error.
Not
message.
overlapping. It will say that's already part of the VG. Okay, VG extend is there and give the new disk name. But as a system administrator, specifically in Linux, you are not supposed to perform this, right? That's why I told you, specifically when you are working on destructive commands, MKFS, whichever we have seen, fdisk, right? rm minus rf, all these are destructive commands. Please understand that when you are working as root or a system administrator, right? So whatever you do, these are irreversible, right? So please obtain utmost cautiousness when you issue commands on a live system. So basically, I always tell people that when you work on the live system, you always try it on a what to say this thing, non-production or day one run. Make a note of it, right? Make a copy paste it in your notepad, right? And during the live system, just copy paste that thing and put it here. Please ensure that your disk on that device may be SDA1, but you might need to format it with SDB1. So please ensure that those things are taken care of. Okay, should not be that key exactly you're doing it. Otherwise, you're what to say your both the test and the device production environment should be identical with all the environment. Clear? Cool. What we'll do is that I will just speak about swap for the next class. Today we will look on just a 2 minutes of thing. Sorry, 5 minutes of thing. We will look on the directory structure. Simple. You must have seen almost most of the stuff. ls minus l slash. We are going to explain what is this basically. Okay. We haven't seen the directory structure, but you have gone through some of the directories now. So first thing is your root. First thing is your root. Root means root users home directory. Before that, ls minus ld, you see the directory permission, ls minus ld slash. So this slash itself is a directory, correct? Blue color. So this itself is a directory which is top level directory. You should understand the permission of this. Read, execute, read, execute, read, execute. Anyone can get into the system, but no one can write into it. Right? But even though you are there, you can write into slash, you can create directory. Correct? That is basically because of root users. Other users will not be able to do that. Correct? So coming back to our story, ls minus l. So we see the root directory, ROT. ROT is the home folder for root user. Normal users have their home directory in slash home. ls-l/home, you will see other users home directory, whichever users are created. Okay, clear? So ls-home is the home directory of the users, correct? Now ls-l/, so since root is a super user, that root's home directory is under slash directory. Clear? Now the other is /boot. This is a system, or mostly all the system directories. This is the directory where your kernel, right? Kernel means where your system basically boots in. You have something called as init ramfs. Okay, so all the files related to booting activities are stored in /boot. All the files means specifically the kernel and the init ramfs. We will speak about init ramfs later when we look into how the system boots. Clear? Any questions on this? So please understand that system boot /boot is a important directory. Don't put your stuffs on that. Clear? It's only for system. Data is the directory which we created basically, correct? Do you have data in your system? ls-l/? No, it is not there. ls-l/ grub data. This is a directory which I have created. Just for confusion. Okay. So boot we have seen, root we have seen, home we have seen, Dave also we have seen. What is this Dave?
Device map.
Where your device files are there. Correct. In this directory, mostly you will see character device and block devices. See all the block devices which we have created, B, and the character devices, right? The port, all those things. Correct. And the terminals, visual consoles. Yep. etc. It is basically where all your configurations are saved. You have a web server running. You have a HTTP or a mail server, right? The native OS shipped softwares, correct? You can have the HTTP server. What we have in this, or a web server, what we have here is this, basically Apache software. You can use the software which is shipped with the OS, which is straight away installation, right? You can also use the software which is available publicly. That might be in a different format. You need to run a lot of commands to get that installed. Here it is straight away command to install. I will show you this command later on. So the point is that the native OS applications, whatever is that there, whether it is mail or whatever it is, all those configuration goes in etc. Directly under etc or under subdirectories under etc. So look at etc. You'll see many directories, correct? Maybe user configuration or like etc password, etc shadow, user related files, right? All the configuration related files basically are seen under /etc. File is nothing which I have created. Remove it. Home we have seen, correct? We'll look upon these things later. Media I told you, correct? What is media? You have to mount your CD, DVD and all those things. For automating mounting, you have something known as media, right? In older versions like RHEL 3 and RHEL 2, you won't find media, only MNT is there. So by default, nothing will be there in this, right? If you mount something, the data you can see that. Mount media, normally CD drive, DVDs and all those things. MNT, basically you can mount it for some network shares or the way which we have mounted similarly, whatever. But only one mount point we normally use. Otherwise, you have to create directories and say that, and then you have to mount. My mounts is something which we created, so this is not a system directory. Opt. Opt is basically optional files. Like for example, I've told you about Apache software from community or open source or some other software. There are a lot of softwares available in community. So you're going to install it on this. So basically those systems or those applications goes under /OPT.
By default,
That is where it should go. Okay. If it is a RPM based distribution, okay, we'll speak about RPMs and all those things. That normally goes into /etc and other files. Okay. Otherwise, it should go into OPT.
like VLC player, no, it will go to opt.
Whatever.
VLC player or any.
Whatever it is, it should go to opt. Basically, what we are doing is, if for example, I built a custom application, right? So my thing is that that application should go into /OPT, right? Why it is done is that because when you do a default OS upgrade or something like that, so the system level directories and all those things are taken care by those things, okay? And that distribution actually takes care of existing software also which is installed on that. But the software system doesn't know what the third-party application is about. Correct? In that case, it becomes three problems in most of the cases. That's why when you say that in order to manageability and easiness, you create third-party softwares. Third-party softwares which are not shipped by the operating system vendor. Keep it under /OPT. For manageability also, it's easy. Tomorrow you have to take a backup, just take a backup. Correct? So let me complete the other thing. I will explain you stuff. OPT is for basically third-party softwares. Proc and sys. Basically, sys is an advanced version of proc. In older systems, you will see only proc. Proc and sys is nothing. It's just a virtual file system, or I will say a directory or something. Right? That means nothing is stored in that. Whatever you see is live data. You shut down the system, take the hard disk, put it in some other OS where Linux is installed, start the other OS, correct? And you mount this hard disk, new hard disk, existing hard disk, you will not find anything in proc and sys. In this hard disk, proc and sys. Yeah, right. You can have a Windows system in which a hard disk is there, some problem is there. What you do is shut down the OS, take the hard disk out, attach it to some other system where OS is running. You can see whatever it is. Correct. Same method. You know. So proc and sys, nothing is there. Only when the system comes up, the data will be populated. Like for example, how much memory is there? What is the CPU information? Right? All those information. When the system is loaded, it will be populated to XYZ directories inside proc and sys. Proc is an older version. This also is the same thing, but you will see that go home and search under proc and sys. You will see that sys is more organized. LL/proc. Okay, LL/sys. This is more organized. You will find something information about devices. You can go to devices. About block devices, about the kernel, about power management, about firmware, about file system, go to that directory. This is not organized. But because of historical reason, proc is there. Maybe in another future releases, proc might entirely go off. Okay. So OPT, proc, root, run is nothing. Whenever a system, if this only happen, you will see in new systems. Whenever a software is run, right? You understand log file or a PID file? Log file, what is log file? When an application is running, it could create a log so that another instance of the application doesn't run automatically. Because what it will do is it will check the log file. Because if two instances of the application running, they could cause problems. Because it might access the same data, same file, it could corrupt. So if a log file exists, the other instance of the application will not run. So it's a method to ensure that key corruption due to application running doesn't occur. This is applicable for scripts also. What happens? You run a script, and the system, the user logs in and runs the same script there. Both the script runs the same thing. That is, it's updating a file. It will corrupt, right? So you can create a log when one person runs a script. It will create a log. So next person who logs in and runs the same script, it will do a check on whether the lock is there. If the lock is there, the person says, "Hey, lock is there. Someone else is running the script." Right? So those type of locks normally are organized in Run. Okay. SRV is normally in the newly found systems. Normally you will find server related information, but it's normally not populated. For future users, we just get. Temp, you know, temporary directory, anyone can write into it. Anyone can write into it, but only can be deleted by a person who have written it or who have created it. Right? Yeah. It has got all the permission and it has got
Execute also. But the others cannot execute.
not execute.
In the temple,
Hello?
last one I had ability.
ಇಲ್ಲ ഓക്കെ ഓക്കെ അത് വേണ്ട എനിക്ക് തൊണ്ടവേദന ഉള്ള നാളത്തേക്ക് വേണ്ട ശരി നോക്കാം so temp is not executable, right? Temp is a file directory which has got sticky bit, correct? Sticky bit means
Incur.
not sticky bit, yeah, sticky bit. That means
Incur.
no. Sticky bit means anyone can write into it, but only person who has created it, he can delete it. It's not about SGID. SGID is that group permission will be inherited, correct? So temp is nothing. It's just basically a directory which used for temp files. So there is another directory called /war temp. This also has the same thing. Okay, but it also has got the same role of temp. Like for example, you are running some application, you are developing some application, you are running a script, you want to store somewhere. You can't store in these directories, right? Temp file. You are redirecting maybe command output to a file which you don't want later after running the script, you delete it. So you can't store it in /mnt or other directories. So to that you have a temp space, some small work area. So it's temp directory, or you can similarly /war temp. Normally /temp is a separate partition in real times, because temp any people can write, it can grow. Right? So now war we'll talk about. War is variables. Variables, if you look on /war, you basically see cache information. You will see what to say, log. These are something important. You see spool. This is mainly for mail purpose. Okay, for example, if a mail or something is configured, so or a system itself has got a small mail entry where which normally sends mails to the users itself. Okay, so those information, or a system is acting as a mail directory. So those information by default goes into /war spool or war. Where war means variable which keeps on changing. Your logs keeps on changing. War log. All your logs normally will be in war log. War log. And anything specifically, you can have it in, like for example, VMware log. You can have Red Hat subscription manager. You can go to the RHSM. Okay, clear? So anything related to logs, sorry, not logs, anything related to variables will be, which keeps on changing, will be there in the log file. Sorry, war log, war directory. Log, you have to mention war log is a directory which you need to understand, because this is the directory where logs are saved. Clear? Now comes user, lib and bin, and use and sbin. Okay. User is basically user related, not user, basically it is, yeah, you can say user related information, or it could be somewhere like a third party software which is installed. It can go in this information also, user directory information, as well as mainly which a normal user can execute. Okay, those commands or user related configuration files. Okay, not user related, anything which a user can basically, a normal user can basically access, that normally goes into the user directory, correct? And bin is the directory. Yeah, bin is a directory. So earlier what happened is that key some RHEL 6 or something like that, you had a literally /bin directory, correct? Now you don't have /bin. Instead, for backward compatibility, these links are given. The older version, if you wrote RHEL 6, RHEL 5, you will see /bin. You will not find this soft links. So now what they are creating is they have moved bin to user, correct? USR. So it is system files also, as well as user related files. User, normal user can look into it. Okay. So all the files or executable files which a normal user can execute are stored in user bin, or you call it a /bin. If you look at cd/bin, basically you are in where /user is bin. Sorry, /user bin, same files, correct? Yeah. So bin is basically executables. Like for example, you see umask, you see uname, all those commands which basically a normal user can execute. Okay, so those commands are basically stored in where? Bin. So /bin, it's normally is in, if in a new system it is basically it is basically the directory is in /user sbin. Sorry, /user bin. Correct. Similarly, there is a directory called sbin. Earlier it was /sbin. Now it has moved to /user sbin. So sbin is nothing where you will basically get system level commands. System level commands means in order to execute this, you need super user permissions or root user. Okay. Clear? Like for example, fdisk can be executed by super user or user add command. Correct? Those things. So these all directories will be in your path. We saw yesterday path, echo path. So those things. So sbin, then bin, and these are then basically libraries, lib and lib64. Libraries you of course knows, right? What are libraries?
Files, storage. Use it, biggest files used.
Not say it again.
Using videos.
No, not that library.
Yeah, storage files.
The libraries are basically files which can be reused by multiple programs, right? See, if you need to write an application, that application might need many other things, some functionalities, like for example, displaying on some terminal, it might use some files to give the functionality. Correct. So why do you need to read this again? You can best use that file which is already there, which gives you some functionality. Like reference or anything like that, which is already there, which does some functionality. So just you concentrate on your activity and or your basically your development point of view. You can use those libraries. You can even write your library which can be used on again and again. So libraries are nothing because just files which is used for multiple applications, which can be reused again and again for some particular purpose. Right? Basically, these are executables or not executables. Basically, these are some function providing files. ll/lib. User. See, user lib maybe. Some scripts or some executables over there, which can be used on again and again by many applications. So lib64 is nothing, you just understand directly. We have 32-bit and 64 systems, right? So lib64 is a 64-bit library. Lib is basically 32-bit library. Clear? So bin, boot, dev, etc, home, lib, lib64, media, mnt, opt, proc, root, run, sbin, srv, sys, temp, user, war. We have covered all, right? So these are main system directories. Clear? So give me 1 or 2 days of time. I've got some urgent, some works also for 1 or 2 days. So maybe tomorrow or day after, I will upload the assignments and the cheat sheets and all those things for these 2 sessions. Okay. This videos and recordings possibly by tomorrow or day after, or tomorrow I will upload it. You can go to the original location. You can find it out. Okay. So please do practice this. If everything happens with your this thing, what is a disk doing formatting partition, right? So one more thing, what you need to do is that if you are deleting the disk, right, you can go and just the way you have added from the VMware, you can also delete it, right? Correct? So what you can do is if you want to delete it, please ensure that the path or entries to that is not mentioned in FSTab. It could be that you have formatted, added it, put it up in the FSTab, and you delete that disk. Your OS will not come up.
We need to remove from
Before deleting the disk, what you need to go ahead and delete, just delete the line from FSTab. Okay, if the FSTab entry is not, automatically will not mount. You can shut down the VM and then delete the disk from there, and you can add a new. Because if the original disk is there, it will again recognize the partition and give it the other. What you can do is that go ahead and delete the disk which is created right now, or if the disk you haven't run any partition on that, you can create a partition. Or what you can simple method is that you can delete the partition, right, by using d command and recreate part command and run it. Please ensure that when you partition, you run the part command, right? So we have what we have learned today. We have learned about partition, primary partition, extended partition, logical partition, correct? Then how to format this partition, right? How to identify this partition using LSBLK and BLKID, right? We have formatted a partition. After formatting, you can mount this partition to a particular directory. The directory is of your choice where you want to write. Please ensure that the directory is not mounted under etc or some other directory. Okay. You should mount it in directories which is blank or which is created in tree. And yeah, permanently mounting, that is persisting rows report entries use of FSTab, right? And then we created about we discussed about logical volume management, right? We discussed about the block device, right? Partitions, we create how to create a physical volume, how to create a volume group out of physical volumes, how to create a logical volume in the volume group, and on the top of logical volume, how to create a file system. Right? We have learned about ext3, ext3, ext4, XFS, and VFAT. Correct? In order to create XFS, ext2, ext3, ext4, and XFS, these are all Linux file systems. So the partition ID stands default 83 and Linux. But VFS is basically a Windows-based file system. So you need to create a partition which recognizes, which identifies which file system can recognize. Correct? So you need to change the ID from 83 to C. That is Windows 95 LBA, logical block addressing format. FAT32. Clear? FAT32 are 2 types. One is without LBA and one is with LBA. So we use with LBA. Okay. Then we have also learned about how to extend a logical volume, how to resize a logical volume, how to resize a volume group. We also learned about physical extents and logical extents. We know how to calculate the size of the volume group, volume group by using the physical extent. Clear? So before extending a logical volume, you should ensure that there is space in the volume group. If you don't have space in the volume group, you need to add new physical disk, then you convert it to or create a physical volume out of that, and then attach this physical volume or extend this volume group using this physical volume. Clear? Okay. So with this, we end up today's session, and